and I want to show you something about the QWCS C2 Web Client. No, QGIS Web Client. My name is Horst Düster. I'm Managing Director from SourcePol in Zurich, and I want to say some words about the company. SourcePol is very engaged in the whole QGIS stuff. We have 4 C++ core developers developing QGIS. We have maintenance and support contracts. We did call it QGIS Enterprise, but now we don't call it no more QGIS Enterprise, only maintenance and support contract, because it's a better solution. Then we have developed QGIS Ibireo. This is a special QGIS application for military, for the Swiss Army, and for planning of the Swiss Army actions. Then the WebJS environment, Marco Hugentobler was the initial developer of QGIS Server. QGIS Web Client is initially developed by SourcePol, and we also offer the QGIS Cloud spatial data infrastructure, QGIScloud.com, which is based on these QGIS components, PostGIS, QGIS Server, and QGIS Web Client. Okay. I want to show you some things about the QGIS Web Client. Want to introduce into the QGIS Web Client services, a little feature showcase, and the news from the project since the last FOSS4G in Pristina last year. The QGIS Web Client is the official web application for publishing QGIS projects on the web. The idea is easy. We have the QGIS renderer from QGIS Desktop, which renders the QGIS project. So the next step was to develop the QGIS server. This is QGIS Desktop without GUI, without desktop, just the rendering engine, which renders also the QGIS project. And that is the application layer or application tier. And now the representation tier, we need to have a web client to represent the WMS, for example, served by QGIS Server. That was the basic idea. Before it exists, QGIS Web Client 1. It was no more modern enough. It was not responsive, and so on. So in 2016, the project was funded by different players, some cities in Germany, some cities and cantons in Switzerland, and one company from Sweden, and they started the project for the first release in 2016. The idea was to offer a modern and responsive user interface, a plugin architecture to make it extensible, the whole project, and to develop the QGIS Web Client based on the state-of-the-art technologies, ReactJS and OpenLayers 7. What you see is it's no more necessary to play with 2 versions. With QGIS Web Client 1, we had a mobile version and a desktop version. That's no more necessary. It's reactive, and so you can work with QGIS Web Client on every display type without any special configuration. What are the core features? The core features are a theme switcher. One theme is one QGIS project. You can switch between these themes. We have a layer tree, of course, feature info. You can search with different providers. You can have measurement tools, redlining, permalink sharing, geolocation, PDF printing, You can compare the layers in the QGIS Web Client, and you can import external layers. And last but not least, you have a JavaScript API. You can control the QGIS Web Client from third-party applications via this JavaScript API. These are the core features, and this was the basic. The first release was built with these features. How does it work? In the simplest configuration, you have a QGIS project. You send the QGIS project to the QGIS server. The QGIS server produces WMS from the project, or renders the WMS from the project, and delivers this rendered WMS to the QGIS Web Client. And with the QGIS Web Client, you can navigate and do all the things we showed you have with the core features. The QGIS Web Client is then, in this case, a static HTML, JavaScript, CSS application, and has only the functionality which is delivered by the QGIS server. That's not enough. The next step was to develop the QWC services. It's a microservice architecture. This is developed together with the canton of Solothurn in Switzerland. We have a collection of independent or loosely coupled services which communicate via HTTPS and REST, and the services are Python Flask services. So this gives us the freedom to combine the services or not, to add new services, to improve an existing service, and so on, without the necessary to change the whole system. It's a strong service-oriented architecture. This whole architecture, the whole QWC services, are deployed as Docker containers, which you can get from GitHub from this repository there. Or you can custom set up the system with Apache or VSGI. And then the QWC services gives you extended features. These are the features which are available at the moment from out of the box. You have very sophisticated user and resource management. You can manage the resources and the access until attribute, down to attribute level. You have a multi-tenancy. That means that you can use or run different installations of QGIS Web Client, depending on the tenancy. For example, different communities or municipalities, different companies, and different layouts, different design of the web client, and so on. We have different authentication methods, basic or Kerberos or LDAP and Active Directory, and so on. We have a full text search based on Solr, Apache Solr. You can edit. You can compact permalinks for to Thailand, to send the application to other users or to use as bookmarks. You can prepare a hide profile. You can define custom feature info based on QGIS forms developed as UI on QTUIs. You have reporting engine Jasper, and you have map info pop-up. Then the architecture is a little bit more complex than in the first scenery. You have the QGIS Web Client, but now we have different databases. For example, the geodatabase, where the geodata are stored, a configuration database, and and the QWC services, and the whole architecture combines them together with the config generator and the admin GUI. You have the control about all these components, and you put them together so that you get a full-featured web client at the other side, on the right side. What are the core services? You have the OGC service. That means you get, first of all, you get WFS, MS, and so on, and you can control the permissions about the services. What was not possible in the simple architecture, we have the map viewer, which also uses the permissions and the viewer configuration. So when you log in, for example, as user A, you get different layers. So you can see and work with different layers in the user B, but you don't have to change the whole application. Only you set the rights, the user rights, and the access rights to get this result on the viewer. You have the admin user interface. With it, you prepare all these things, and the config generator generates then the configuration based on the administration tool, because all the configurations are stored as JSON files in the background. That makes it much easier to work with it. We have the data services. It gives you the allowance to read and write. It's necessary for editing in the web client. You have the backend for the editing functionality. The permalink services I mentioned, and the full text service is the Apache Solr service. But we are at the moment also are working on other types of full text services based on Postgres. So you see, it's no problem to extend the functionality by microservices or by plugins. The authentication service is a little bit more in deep. It's working with JWT token. You can authenticate against the database, or you have different other authentication services, as I mentioned, Kerberos, SAML, LDAP, Active Directory, and so on. So it's possible to integrate the QGIS Web Client into your company infrastructure and your single sign-on, for example. Then you can run the infrastructure in Docker or Kubernetes. Docker, I mentioned it. You can download the Docker containers for the system, and you can run it based on Docker and upgrade it on Docker, and you can enjoy all the advantages you get by Docker. Or Kubernetes, QGIS Cloud, for example, is running on Kubernetes based on this infrastructure, and there you have the option to put in and put away resources as you need. And when you have a huge load, you can add resources as you like, and if you don't have need these resources, you can put them away. Okay, that's the introduction into the system itself. Now I want to show you some core features in picture. I talked about the theme switcher. You see, there are 4 themes. These 4 themes are for QGIS projects, and you can switch between them. But you also can take layers from one theme to another. You can open an empty theme, and then you can go ahead and take the hiking trails from the second map, only the hiking trails, and you can take others, the buildings from the third map, and you can put together your own map. Then you can save it as permalink, and you have an own client which contains all the information you need for this moment. The layer tree is you can set the visibility, the transparency of every layer. You can import layers, external layers, file-based layers is KML and GeoJSON, or eben WMS, WMTS, WFS, can you additionally add, and then you can bookmark your project, and all these, you can make them persistent to reopen the project with the imported external layers. You can compare layers. That means you can, for example, you can show how it's how it's changed over the time for different layers. Older maps and newer maps, you can swipe over the map and you see the difference between these maps. And you have a background switcher, that's a point here, where you can switch between different background maps, and this makes loading of the map much faster because they are loaded into the map as cascaded WMS layers. Feature info, very interesting because you get WMS feature info. Feature info is the way you go get the information, but you can also now design the feature info window with the graphical user interface. You can define in QGIS with the external user interface made by a Qt designer, or with a user interface you can prepare in QGIS itself. And then you have info for the selected position. When you right-click in the map, you get this information, but all this content is can you configure in the corresponding JSON files. The third, you have different search providers I mentioned. You can search about layers, you can search about nominative search, you have the full text search, and a lot of other search options you have. Printing. QGIS has a very sophisticated printing engine, and QGIS Server also has this, of course, this printing engine, and then it's possible to define printable high-quality maps with in the QGIS Web Client. When you define a QGIS layer, map layer in QGIS, and then and in this project you publish, then you get this map also web-based, and you can download it as PDF. Redlining is possible. You can define points and polygons. You can measure about the space, and you get also the profile of this line based on the world data of the SRTM, I think so. Editing, you see it's possible to edit either on table-based. Here's the attribute table of the layer you are editing. For example, geometry-less data sets, or you edit in with geometry, and then you get also a predefined graphical user interface to capture the attribute data. You have you can file upload, make file uploads. You have 1-to-n relations. You can build in QGIS your nice user interface, and then you get that web-based to capture your data. I talked about the admin backend. This admin backend is, for example, necessary to set the permissions, the access permissions of the data, of the maps, of the projects, of the attributes, and so on. Okay, that's old stuff. Now the new stuff we have developed last year. First of all, there is new routing machine based on Valhalla, on the Valhalla backend. You can put in 2 points, and then it's routes the route between these 2 points based on the definitions you made, or car, or by foot, a bike, or you can define isochrones. That means these are these areas you can reach via the road net or the way net in special defined time, for example, 10 minutes or what you want. New is the object filter. I have to say there on the bottom of the slide you see who funded this feature. All the features which are available in QGIS Web Client are funded by someone, and the object filter is, for example, is funded by the city of Jena and the city of Zurich. With this filter you can filter your object content. You define it's a WMS filter, and you can filter predefined. For example, you create in this example you can create the continents, for example, and you select Africa, and then on the fly in that moment only the objects defined by Africa are visible. Or you can filter over time, or you can filter by geometry. And you can also configure this filter dialog, so it's not necessary that they always see all these options, so you can have good options to define this map filter. Object search, you can also search objects by attribute QGIS. It's also configurable. You can have a single field search, and you can use the search bar. The search bar is this thing here in QGIS Web Client, and then you get the search, and in this case it's all countries with more than 90 million people population will show it there in this moment. It's very easy to configure, and it's nice to work with. We have a theme, level search. That means that you can add layers from different themes. That is, I mentioned before, and so you can combine this your new theme or your new map with the added theme layers from different themes. We have new portal news pop-up. For example, you have municipality GIS, and then you can publish news. We have a new version, we have a new layer, or next week we have maintenance day and nothing will work, and so on. Yes, you can, in respect to layers, you have now the option to style. You get WMS style selection when your WMS is delivered with different styles. You can select these styles. You can make transparency for groups. That's also very helpful. And you have new GeoPDF import. You can use GeoPDFs in the map itself. Snapping is a big thing. You can snap on nodes and edges. Also in redlining, WFS import vector layers, and of course editable vector layers. So when you create, for example, a redlining a box, you want to show something, then you can also snap to this box, and this box is also persistent when you store this configuration as permalink. And redlining is new with arrowheads. It's a little new thing. Printing. Now it's possible to print Atlas functions, also Atlas series. This is working like a regular print dialog, but you have to prepare, of course, in the QGIS project, the Atlas maps, and then you can deliver them via web client as Atlas. Also, GeoPDF and GeoTIFF export, the whole map will be exported as GeoPDF. Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay. I will translate. Editing. You can create nested dialogues. The nested dialogues are, you have different tabs, and the different tabs you want to makes it much easier to work with or to maintain or to add the attribute data, and it's also possible. And all this are defined in the QGIS project. You create a user interface with Qt Designer, and then you have to follow a special naming convention of the object names, and then QGIS and QGIS Web Client makes from them these dialogues. And you mainly have mostly the widgets you have also in Qt. Oh, I don't know why it should be translated. I did it. Oh, maybe I have the wrong. Okay, you can communicate with different applications, with third-party applications. You edit, for example, you digitize an object, and then you can send these objects to predefined applications, if you like, totally independent with the QGIS Web Client. That's English. Then the last thing, the biggest thing of this year, is QGIS Web Client 3D, and this will be finished. The idea is finished in spring 2025. It's just some screenshots. It's based on Gyro 3D, the development, 3JS Python tiles for the services in the background, and GeoPackage.js for storing data as GeoPackage, JavaScript based. But this is in an early stage of development. But these are the first screenshots I can give you for the future. There's a huge bunch of functionality is expected, and then shadows and shadow warping and profiling over the moving of objects through the map. For example, tram or buses through the cities and so on. But it's a huge project. At the moment, we have 4 funders of this project. You can read them. All cities from Germany, which are using QGIS Web Client for their daily work, and it's on a good way. And I'm looking out very optimistic that we will get a huge thing. Then what is on our bucket list, but it's not financed at the moment? It's sensor data integration, then a dashboard plugin we are hoping can implement, and an idea is document management based on QGIS Web Client and geographical data. Okay, I am ready. Oops, sorry. For further information, you can consult the QGIS Web Client documentation. We have the repositories, and for example, for web addresses to get, you can play with it. And the QWC2 source pole CH is the sandbox where you can play with it, where you can test and check ideas you have. Okay, thank you for your attention, and maybe we have questions.